mother. Oh, hi. Sorry about that. This is Dr. Rich Lee again at my grandfather's beautiful rural ranch in the middle of nowhere in Mendocino County. And you almost caught me swearing, but there's a segue to that. We talked about anxiety and depression and serotonin. Well, there's a very powerful genetic connection to that. And it has to do with the genetic variation in your body's ability to process folic acid, which is an essential B vitamin, into a form that it can actually use. Now, for that to happen, it goes through an enzyme called methotetrahydrofolate reductase, or we just call it MTHFR. And yes, that sounds like an acronym for a swear word, and that's the term that most geneticists uses, the MTHFR gene. You can say it more rapidly if you want, but this is for a public audience, maybe even children. Anyway, so what does this enzyme do? Like I said, it takes folic acid and converts it into the form that's known as L-methylfolate or L5-MTH, or also vitamin B9. Now, what does that do? Okay, the word in that is L-methylfolate, and that applies to something called a methyl group, which is simply one carbon atom with 4 hydrogens wrapped around it. Well, methyl groups are very important in many functions. They stabilize your DNA to help prevent mutations. They help reduce oxidative stress of your cells. They're used by the liver to take bad stuff, free radicals and toxic chemicals, and combine it in the liver to make it excreted or gone, or in some cases converted into something that's good. Also, these methyl groups are critical in the making of serotonin. And as I mentioned before, serotonin is the neurochemical in the brain that provides calm, order, and hope. If your serotonin levels are low, you're more prone to anxiety or depression. And in order to make serotonin, you need 2 things. You need those methyl groups from L-methylfolate, and you need an amino acid called 5-hydroxytryptophan, or 5-HTP. And that comes from tryptophan, which is an amino acid that is notably lacking in vegan diets. So this may be one reason why so many vegans are not as happy as they could be. Anyway, so folic acid goes through this enzyme, methotetrahydrofolate reductase, or MTHFR, and comes out the other side as L-methylfolate, which is a form your body needs. Now, depending on your genetics, your ability to make that process happen could be running at 100% efficiency, or as bad as 18%, which means you're hardly making any methyl groups, therefore hardly making any serotonin, and therefore also having difficulty processing bad things out of your body by way of the liver. Okay, there are 2 main genetic gene pairs that are very powerful in that association. And if you have no mutations, that process of converting folate into L-methylfolate could run at 100% efficiency. Or in the worst case scenario, all the way down to 18%, which is pretty miserable. And so I've looked at the DNA of over 500 people that I followed for over a decade and found that 85% of those people have some mutation, some of this MTHFR mutation. 30% is clinically significant in terms of anxiety, depression, ADD, or risk of heart disease or cancer. So what do you do about that? If your body can't make L-methylfolate, then you can supplement with it. And it's also known as vitamin B9. It's just now coming into awareness for the general population. And typically, depending on how bad your mutations are or how bad your symptoms are, the dosage is anywhere from 5 milligrams to a maximum of 15 milligrams a day. And one nice thing about it, as a supplement, as a B vitamin, where your body will just excrete or pee out what it doesn't need, if you don't need it, it'll do no harm. If you do need it, it can make a significant difference. So that's one of the main solutions to a very common problem that is very common in genetic variations, that with a simple vitamin B9, L-methylfolate, you can make more serotonin if you're not making enough and improve your mood and your focus. You can also improve the excretion of bad things out of your body, which put you at risk, and therefore have a lower risk of cancer or heart disease down the road. One last thing though, if you need or taking L-methylfolate, a cofactor in that is also vitamin B12. Now, most people have enough B12. You can never overdose on it. Your body will pee out what it doesn't need. A very rare group of people have naturally high levels, but it's not dangerous. Anyway, so if you're going to take L-methylfolate at 5 milligrams to 15 milligrams a day, and I'd say for most people just start out at 5. Also take 5 milligrams of B12, also known as 5,000 micrograms. It's the same dosage. So that combination, again, if we're wrong, if you don't have the mutations, no harm done. If you do have those mutations that are significant, and at least a 30% chance you will, then taking those two together can make a big difference in energy, focus, mood, and reduction of cancer and heart disease risk. So that's the lesson on the MTHFR mutation, and to not correct it, it is a MTHFR. More to come later.